Today I want to talk a little bit more about like Steamworks, I guess. So for a lot of people who are still kind of a little bit far away from their release of their game, unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be a lot of like hyper informative stuff for you in this video that you can do right now. But I think this is something that I am realizing the Bite Me audience, when they do actually get around to releasing their game, doesn't seem to have enough awareness about. And to a certain degree, I also didn't really have that much awareness about. I did like a little bit, but I'm getting better at it, and I think I want to share that with you guys as well, because I found a way to basically get free money on Steam. Or not like free money, but there is a way you can optimize how much money you're going to make by releasing your game, basically. And that is through bundles. So for example, what is a bundle? You can see that here for Unicycle Pizza Time. We did a bundle with Paddle, 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 where you can get both of the games together for 10% discount. So this is how bundles work, basically. Bundles are 2 or more games, or like could be like DLC plus like base game. We'll dive into that in a second, where you bundle them together and you give an incentive to someone on Steam, basically, if they're looking at your store page, to be like, hey, I could spend a little bit more, but I'm going to get more different games as well. We're going to talk about more later. In general, it does make sense to do like bundles for similar games, or we also have, for example, the Bite Me Games collection, which is like all of our games. And you may be wondering, okay, Martix, cool story, bro, but what's really the impact here? I think the impact here is if we take a look at, for example, the most recent 31 days of our bundle sales, you can see actually that that bundle with Unicycle Pizza Time and Paddle, Paddle, Paddle made us $145. So us as the studio in sales. We also did some more bundles. Anomaly Hunters. This is a bundle with 2 of our own games, Overtime Anomaly and Kyoto Anomaly. Also 126. And then Japan Anomalies. This is a bundle with me and then another Bite Me game viewer who made another Anomaly game set in like Japan. So I was like, hey, Kyoto Anomaly and you, let's bundle up together. Made another 41 bucks. Now these numbers may not sound like particularly high, but I think you need to keep in mind that these are bundles that I would see it as just 100% pure bonus revenue. Where even though, yeah, sure, it says minus 10%, the upside of like, okay, total revenue is 10% less, but you're going to sell an extra copy of your game, or someone is going to buy Paddle, Paddle, Paddle and didn't know about Unicycle Pizza Time yet, but was like, hey, these guys have a bundle together. It's 10% discount. Let me just buy both of them, is, I think, just very, very valuable. So I think you should always try to bundle. We're doing that now as well for MMO98, where we are planning at least a bunch of bundles right now upon release, and I want to talk you through those things. Now, first things first is, how do you determine who you bundle with? What should you do, basically? And bundling is kind of something that I would start considering about a month before release, give or take. You can do it like up till basically last minute. You can even do bundles after release, depending on whether you're going to be the game that's releasing or there's another game that's similar to you that you know of that's releasing. You can do bundles together there. But generally, about a month before you start releasing your game would be a good time to start looking at bundles. And this would mean basically, okay, I'm making a game in this specific genre. Do I know anyone else that has maybe a similar vibe or a similar overall theme? You're basically ideally looking for games that are somewhat similar. Technically, nothing is stopping you from bundling 2 games that kind of don't really have much to do with each other. There is one bundle we did that, for example, with, which is the Hazardous Employment, which was a mix of Unicycle Pizza Time, which was like a 1 to 4 player streamer bait game, and then also Overtime Anomaly, which was a horror game. And sure, we still had a little bit of bonus sales, but this was not really what I could call a successful bundle, because these were 2 very different games. The only thing that they had in common was that for both games, I was the developer, Bite Me Games was the developer. But this is like lifetime revenue. It's just not as big. Like this is in 1 year now, not 1 month. It doesn't really have as much of like sales volume, I would say. Like this is 2 of our own, but like in terms of like actual units, I wouldn't say this was like the most successful bundle we did. So you find a list of some of the games that are similar to yours. So for example, I think I can leak this, or like, you know, for example, for MMO98, we would be looking for other incremental games or games with that Windows 98 style vibe, basically. So in this case, a game that would be a very good fit for us to bundle with would be Execute, because Execute also has that Windows 98 theme and it's an incremental game. So what you do then is, okay, I see that this game is out and it's bigger than mine. We'll dive into that in a second. I think this could be a good benefit because this game right now has 8 people online, 24-hour peak. Like, especially also when there are, for example, sales and discounts, they will convert and I will get a little bit of those profits. So I kind of wanted to wait with this, but I think I need to say it earlier. We need to talk about the etiquette and the power dynamic of bundles. this is an important thing, where if you are like 150 wishlists, doing bundles is going to be kind of hard, because a bundle is something where you have two parties. Usually, I'm assuming you're not bundling with yourself. You can bundle with yourself as well, but I'm talking here mainly about bundling with other developers, where there is this power dynamic, where in an ideal world, you would reach out to the biggest game possible and you would bundle with them. That is like in your similar genre. Now, if you have 150 wishlists and a similar game to yours has 100,000 wishlists, it doesn't really feel like it makes a lot of sense, or like, you know, you cannot offer the other developer as much as they would be offering you. And maybe they are still very chill with that. That's always an option, of course. You can always ask people still like, hey, do you want to do a bundle? But I think that is one thing to keep in mind, where there are two kinds of benefits that like the people bring to the table. Either they get like launch visibility. So for example, in the case of Execute, I would be bringing the fact that I have 15,000 wishlists to the table and it's going to release, and it's probably going to give him a like very concentrated sales spike on the moment that we release our game as well. What he brings to the table is he already sold a massive amount of copies. He has an established like audience basically, or like people who are aware of his game. He probably has a lot of outstanding wishlists as well. The moment that his game goes on sale, he just has a way higher like baseline sales volume than we would have, which means that we would also kind of chip in or like get some of that benefit when he goes on sale, and then we go on sale and we kind of feed each other. But this only makes sense if you're moderately similar, I would say, in terms of total audience size. If you are not similar in terms of total audience size, you're basically pitching entirely on this is how many wishlists I have going in. And that's what I mean with, you know, if you're trying to bundle and your game is already out and it has like 500 outstanding wishlists or something, and the game was kind of dead on arrival, reaching out to another game or another developer that is just performing way better than you, whilst technically nothing is stopping you, I think it's also, you know, you're reading the room wrong. You're not really understanding the power dynamics of like, what am I bringing to the table as a developer and what are they bringing to the table? And you want those things to be somewhat matched. I know there are strategies as well of, oh, I'm just going to bundle with every single person out there. For example, do you see this with Voidminer? They also reached out to us of like, hey, do you want to do a bundle with us? And it's like, okay, sure, this looks good. Like Voidminer, they have a decent amount of reviews. It has also a pretty good like audience. But the problem is, if you look at this shit, they have 116 bundles. And I think at that point, once again, that power dynamic isn't really there, because this is a game that's already out. So I think in this case, you know, I don't believe that there is much of a benefit. I feel like the developer reaching out is more of like, you know, free money for him. I feel like he wouldn't bring enough to the table in this case, because even though sure, he has a lot of like prior game releases, every single person under the sun has bundled with him. And I just think that in this case, you know, that power balance may not be 100% there. Probably some people are screaming at me now, like, hey, you should do a bundle with these guys. And probably you may even still be correct. But this is what I mean with that power dynamic, basically. Because what does this guarantee for me, basically? You know, the one benefit would be, you see that here with buy Voidminer x Ropuka's Idle Island. I already own Ropuka's Idle Island. So in this case, I would actually have a cheaper price to buy the complete the set bundle than if I were to just buy the game standalone. So if someone would already have Voidminer and then goes onto the store page for MO98, for example, if we were bundled, then they would immediately see that, hey, there is actually a cheaper way, and this may incentivize them more to also want to buy it. So that's kind of the whole thing. It gets a little bit complicated sometimes of like, okay, do I want to bundle with them? Generally, you do want to bundle with as many people as you can, but I think you do need to be kind of reasonable in terms of what you can get out of it. From this as well, one thing that I want you to keep in mind is kind of a part of also that etiquette, or like a kind of like discussion point of, okay, I want to do a bundle with you, is to ask for both parties to be able to pin the bundles as well. What does pinning mean? Pinning means that no matter what basically would be here in terms of like the different bundles, these are always going to be at certain points in the store page. So for example, if I go to the Kyoto Anomaly store page, once again, we're going to see that we have the Japan Anomalies bundle, we have Anomaly Hunters, and then we have the Bite Me Games collection bundle. Now, Japan Anomalies and Anomaly Hunters, these two will always be at the same position because I have pinned these in my store page special settings. So this is in Steamworks, where I could also say, okay, there's another bundle, the Bite Me Games collection. I actually want the Bite Me Games collection to be positioned right at the top always. Even if I have 50 bundles, the Bite Me Games collection will always be at the top. So if I push this to public, for example, now, and then we reload the Kyoto Anomaly store page, we now see that the Bite Me Games collection is always at the top. So this is something you want to ask for from the other party, especially if they are releasing their game or their game is already released. Of like, hey, I want to bundle with you, but I want for like 1 week or whatever that our bundle that we do together is pinned at the top. And we do this both of us like mutual. That way both parties can like optimize it as much as possible. Because if I do a bundle with, for example, I'm going to keep dragging him into this with, for example, Void Miner, and I would basically be like pinning his bundle or like just showing his bundle on our store page because we just have less bundles than him. Whereas here, if he doesn't pin that bundle, there is almost not going to be that much of a benefit for us because the store page, there would not be any passive visibility. Sure, if someone looks up like MMO98, they would find that bundle. Right now, there's no bundles available, of course. But even then, I think pinning is just something that you should at least ask for because it's just the better way that it goes for. Now you can pin up to 3 bundles at most, after which is just sorted by price basically. So now that you know that, okay, I feel like there is still this bundle that does really make sense for me to do that with. As I said, you could contact them either through their Discord. Often you can like join their Discord and then find like the developer usually as like a special tag. Or there is a little bit more of a sneaky way. If you ever wondered like, you know, how to get developers' email addresses, it's actually pretty easy. There is this URL. I'm gonna put it in like the description or something. This is just like the Steam support like help thing. And there's like, it ends here with app ID. So if I'm just going to copy the app ID from Kyoto Anomaly for a second, I'm gonna put it here at the back and I'm going to put this at the top of my browser. I can now see, okay, here, Steam support for Kyoto Anomaly. We're sorry to hear you're having trouble. Support is provided by, and then here you can find the email or an alternative way to contact. This is for any game, basically. This is not just for Bite Me games. This is not just for games that you own. This is also for games that you do not know. And here you can very easily thus see that email, send them an email and be like, hey, I have a game, it's coming out soon. I would love to bundle with you guys, and maybe they're gonna respond. Once again, give them like a month in advance or give them some time to prepare for this, and then you can basically work from there. Okay, so they have now confirmed, okay, I want to bundle with you. Now you, ideally like you or them will make the bundle. I'm just going to explain it to you. How do you make bundles? So you go over to your Steamworks and here under apps and packages, you can head on over to bundles. I have a bunch of bundles. For this sake, I'm just going to like walk you through the steps of making bundles yourself. So you go over to create new bundle and we're going to call this, I don't know, I'm just going to call this my demo bundle. It doesn't really matter here. And we have a few things already. First off, store bundle discount. This is a very standard 10% usually. If you're like doing something and you don't specify a specific bundle discount, 10% is pretty basic standard here. You can do more. I wouldn't really do less. It depends also maybe on which type of bundle you want to do. For example, for the entire Bite Me Games collection, if you want to get every single game we have ever made, we have a 25% discount for that because it's also a bigger bundle. Whereas if it's just for like 2 or 3 games, generally 10% is perfectly fine as well. We do this 10% discount mainly also just to trick the customer's brain to be like, oh, it's cheaper. I want to buy this now. And then there's 2 kinds of bundles, complete the set or must purchase together. So generally you always want to go with complete the set. Complete the set means just that, okay, even if I have one of the games in the bundle already, it will just be subtracted from it. I don't need to buy the entire bundle. I only buy the games that are remaining in the bundle that I didn't know. So once again, to give you an example of this, if we go to Void Miner, this is a complete the set bundle, the by Void Miner X Ropuka's Island, because I already own Ropuka's Island. So you can see here, it's already in library. So then you just see the base game, and then you still get that 15% bundle discount. So in total, I am still saving money with this bundle. If it was complete the set, I would have to, at the moment that I bought Ropuka's Island, already have bought Void Miner as well, which you don't want that basically. Like Steam says here as well, the format is mainly used if you're doing things like deluxe editions or special editions where you're going to buy multiple of like your own packages at the same time, but less for collaborative bundles. So okay, we're going to make a complete the set bundle and we just click create bundle. It takes a little second. Perfect. So now we get a few things. First off, we need to add some packages. This is normal. This is something that a lot of people kind of get stumped on of like, okay, you expect to see a list here of all of your games. It doesn't load. You need to actually like type something and only then they will come out. So let's now say that I'm making a bundle with, let's say, MO98 and I don't know, Overtime Anomaly. Let's say Overtime Anomaly. So I look for that and I add both of these and I click continue. So this is a bundle that I 100% own. These are pretty easy to make yourself. In this case, I could already set this bundle live, because one of the games is still hidden. I think that's an important thing to talk about with the visibility that I think is kind of, you know, this is very in the weeds. Like I said, this is a video that kind of only matters if you are actually planning on bundles, if you want to like more feel-good stuff. This isn't it. You can mark your bundles as going live, but they will still remain hidden. Actually, I have a bundle with another viewer. I'm going to announce it, I guess. Anomaly Tourism. This is with another viewer's anomaly game, room 713. So this bundle is enabled and it's completely set up, and I have set it as live. It's enabled in the store, but right now it's not visible in any country because room 713 isn't out yet. However, the moment that he releases this game, I don't need to do anything and the bundle will automatically go live. That's why I always suggest to put this live the moment you've kind of configured the bundle and you're like, okay, this is done, because that way you don't need to remember to put this bundle live as well the moment that the second game releases. Like the moment room 713 comes out, the Kyoto Anomaly store page will also list this bundle. Now, what you can still do manually then is go and pin that bundle. I think we actually can do that in advance as well. If I go to special settings, I can add Anomaly Tourism. So I can just drag this here. I'm going to remove the Bite Me Games collection and save this. So the moment that he releases his game now, I do not need to do anything. He's going to get the game bundled and pinned on our store page, so we can both kind of win in that regard, basically. So let's go back to our demo bundle. So in this case, MO98 isn't out yet, so I could already put it on visible. However, I cannot put this visible yet because I need to do some stuff. First off, you need to come up with a bundle description. These are all technically optional. You do not need to write anything down here, but you can still write something like, for example, it could be simple overtime anomaly MMO98. You can write your own little story in there or whatever. They will, like, you know, these are usually standard normal values, like also they have default values. You just want to put something in there. The important thing that you need to do is you need to make graphical assets. So similar to how you have to make capsules for your Steam page, you also have to make some custom art for your bundle. There's three main kinds of art. You need a package header, a header capsule, and a small capsule. So once again, this is the package header. This is the more like wide one. And then we also have, if we go back here, if we go to like see all bundles, this is the like main capsule. So for example, the Void Miner X Desktop Colony, these two come together as well. And then I think there is also a small capsule that you need. And then there is an optional vertical capsule. This is not required. You can add it. Same thing with page background. So I'm just going to pull up, for example, here. This is the bundle that I have with Unicycle Pizza Time. This was all set up by the publisher of Paddle. So I didn't really do anything here, but they also had like very simple, like little text. This is just, I think, our Steam short capsules put together and nothing else. Okay, and in graphical assets, you can see here, they just made something together. They put the two asset packs together. Maybe one little annoyance. This is, for example, also what I did with one of the other anomaly games. I made this myself. Basically, this is also, you just send whoever is going to be the person responsible for making the capsules, like your press kit, because it contains like the logo and some assets. You just put them together. It doesn't take that long. And you export them, and then you can upload them in here. Maybe this is kind of, you know, I don't hate on the guy, even though, you know, I've been pulling him up for a lot of examples here. One thing that I want to ask of you guys, as always, this is kind of what I keep asking you in general, if you do stuff related to game development, and I want to raise the bar for everyone. If you do something, try to always put some effort into it. This is my personal opinion. I do not like these styles, like, you know, the amount of effort required to not just squish the capsules that people spend hundreds of dollars on, and instead just like take a little minute and put these things together yourself, like arrange the logo and whatever. It's like 10 minutes of work. Don't just like squash these capsules, because this just looks bad, honestly, most of these capsules, because they're not designed to be squashed like this. I guess this is the one that like Tornity did, for example, so it looks a little bit better. There's multiple approaches you can do here. Just like I said, if you're making games and if you want to participate on Steam, if you're reaching this point of, okay, I'm releasing commercial games on Steam, put yourself to a higher standard. Ask yourself not just, is this good enough, but is this also like, is this as good as I can do with like my limited time frames? Like, could I do like a little bit more effort and get something better? And in the case of like your Steam capsules, does it really matter for these bundles? Honestly, no. It genuinely doesn't really matter, The only reason why it matters is just to hold yourself to a higher standard. I think these for Paddle were pretty okay. At least, you know, the logos are not squished and everything is still moderately legible. It's pretty visible. This is just our Steam capsules kind of like cropped out. I'm still happy with this. Just don't squish it, please. And then once you've uploaded your graphical assets, there should normally be a publish button here, prepare for publishing. Bundles do not need to get approved. I think that's an important thing as well. You can simply just put them live whenever you want. You do not need to wait for Steam to actually approve the bundle. They are already approved immediately. So those were regular bundles. Bundles with yourself. But what if I want to collaborate with someone else? This is where it gets a little bit more tricky. So for example, if we go to Anomaly Tourism, this is right now locked from edits, so that you can see there's a little bit more here that we can do. I would make a collaborative bundle. This is a one-way operation. You cannot undo a collaborative bundle, and also you cannot delete bundles. That's also an important thing. So I will now eternally have a demo bundle in like my list of all bundles. Those are the things that I do for you. You can rename bundles, but you cannot delete bundles. So, okay, we're going to enable collaboration. This action cannot be undone. Okay, we'll see. And now we can see here a new field has popped up, collaborative bundle, and this has a few steps. So I don't have a partner to do this with, but I can tell you the workflow of how does this work. So step number one is, okay, I have a bundle. Let's say I want to bundle with another game similar to Overtime Anomaly. I'm just going to get rid of MO98 if I can. So let's say I have another game developer and he has a game similar to Overtime Anomaly and we want to bundle together. In this case, I don't know exactly, but what I would do is, okay, I open this, I've talked to the guy on Discord or on email, I have a way to contact him. I have first added my package, Overtime Anomaly. That's in there. What I would do now is I would get this link. Actually, I think all of you guys can now also join this bundle. Oh well, I will get this link and then I will send it to him. I will send him this link and I'm like, hey, add packages. So he would click on this, log in with his own Steamworks account, and on add packages, he would have that same dropdown similar to what we have of his games. Then if he has added all of his packages, I would press lock bundle, after which he needs to once again use this link to do the final approval. This is something that maybe feels a little bit backwards, but it's primarily designed for if you're doing bundles with more than 2 people. Because for example, I'm reaching out to 2 other developers, and then one of the other developers is like, hey, but I actually don't want to bundle with this guy. You kind of bamboozled me. So you can see like how game 1, game 2, and then Overtime Anomaly is in there. And then the developer of game 1 would be like, hey, game 2, I didn't know about this. I don't want to be with there. He still gets to approve that as well. Basically, once everyone has decided and put in their package, everyone needs to once again approve like, hey, this is the full list of games. I approve of this. And once you've done that, once it's locked and finalized, it kind of is set up. So this is basically collaborative bundle. I'm not the owner of this one. I am the owner of this one. So if, for example, one day we have another Anomaly game that we want to add and we want to make this a bigger collaborative bundle, I would then click open for changes. We would go through the entire process again of we get a URL. We have to send it to all developers. They need to all add their packages. After that's done, I need to lock it. That's like the bundle owner. We need to all approve it as well. And that's basically it. Once again, after that is done, we can just put the bundle live, and that's it basically. And this was basically the rundown of how bundles work. I think we've talked about everything here. It's not super complicated, I would say. I'm surprised this video is almost half an hour long, I think, because just the walking through at the end of the day. But I think it is something I would love to see more buyers do, especially because I play a lot of your guys' games, for example, and then I see like, oh, these are 2 games that honestly kind of do fit together, and they're coming out somewhat similar time periods. Why not bundle? Because generally, I do believe doing bundles is somewhat free money. It is free growth for both parties, where sure, maybe you're not making 100% of the sales price, but you are still making more money from a bundle than if you were not in that bundle most of the time. It just, like I said, there's a little bit of power dynamics of like, what does each party bring to the table? But especially, I think the ideal case is that you have 2 unreleased games, somewhat similar wish lists, or it doesn't even, like, you can still be like a few thousand wish lists different, because once again, it is mainly a net positive thing. Reach out to them, email or Discord, and then setting up those bundles. Honestly, also, something that I am surprised by is by how little our viewers reach out to us, for example, as well for bundles. Now, watch me say this and get flooded with like all of the different bundles. Like the bundles do need to make sense. Of course, if you're making a 2D platform, do not ask me to bundle with Unicycle Pizza Time. But for example, there was a viewer who made a game Unicycle Together. I actually don't think we actually confirmed this bundle yet, but it's like, you know, he's a viewer, he knows me, I know him, we're both making games with unicycles. This seems like a win-win scenario because Unicycle Pizza Time has a pretty good amount of like passive like visibility still. He is an upcoming game. In this case, reach out to me if you feel like you have similar games that we can work together on or like, you know, bundle together on. That's all I had to say basically. I don't know, different video. I just felt like I wanted to talk about this because I want to see more buyers using the bundles for when they release their game, because I think it is generally something that you cannot really fuck up with. At least try to get like 3 bundles. If you do like more, then you need to worry about like, okay, who am I going to pin? Some people are going to be like, oh, I'm just going to let the Steam sales numbers decide it, of like, generally, this used to be before, I think Steam has changed it now, where the best selling bundles would be pinned at the top automatically if you didn't manually override it. Now it's price-based. Maybe it's gonna change again by the time that this video, like you're seeing it. I'm not sure exactly, but please try to bundle a bit more. That's all I really have to say. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said, it was a little bit of a different video, but I wanted to talk about this more as like a tutorial part of like Steamworks. I want to do more Steamworks videos at a later point as well. This was just a very neat and isolated topic that I could talk about. So thank you very much for watching. If you thought this video was interesting, head down below and subscribe, because we upload 2 videos every week talking about the things that we learn about game development that I've learned from Steamworks and all of that. And we are on the path to build $1 million game studio, and I would love for you to join us on that journey. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!